A ship captain becomes so consumed by his hatred for a single white whale, the one that took his leg, that he abandons all reason, risks his entire crew, and drives himself and nearly everyone aboard to destruction in pursuit of revenge. That is the obsession at the dark heart of Herman Melville's Moby-Dick, published in 1851. It is often remembered as a long, difficult book about whaling, but underneath the sea and the ship and the hunt lies one of the most penetrating studies ever written of a force that quietly ruins lives in every age, including our own in 2026. The force of obsession. The all-consuming fixation on a single goal, a single grievance, a single enemy, that slowly devours everything else a person has until the pursuit is all that is left and the person behind it is gone. Here is what feels strange about how this book is read. We tend to focus on the whale, on the epic hunt, on the adventure. But Melville is not really writing about a whale. He is writing about what happens inside the man who hunts it. Captain Ahab's tragedy is not that the whale is so terrible. It is that Ahab has poured the entire meaning of his existence into destroying it. The whale becomes the container for all his rage, all his wounded pride, all his need to make the universe pay for his suffering. And in filling that one creature with so much meaning, Ahab loses everything else: his judgment, his duty to his crew, his humanity, his life. The whale was never the real danger. The obsession was. The enemy was always inside the boat. Let me reframe the whole novel. Ahab has suffered a genuine wound. The whale took his leg, and with it, in some sense, his wholeness and his pride. That suffering is real, and at first his anger is understandable. But Ahab does something with his pain that turns a wound into a catastrophe. He fixates. He makes the destruction of the whale the single organizing purpose of his life, the thing he will sacrifice anything and anyone to achieve. And in doing so, he hands all his power to the very thing he hates. A man whose whole life is organized around revenge is not free. He is owned by the object of his obsession. Ahab thinks he is hunting the whale. In truth, the whale is leading him, because his every thought, choice, and breath now belongs to it. Melville understood that obsession is a kind of slavery dressed up as purpose. To feel the depth of this, notice everything Ahab destroys on the way to his revenge. He has a crew of men with families, lives, and futures. He has a ship with a legitimate purpose. He even has moments where his own humanity flickers back, where a part of him longs for home, for peace, for the life he is throwing away. But the obsession overrides all of it. He cannot stop, even when stopping would save everyone, including himself, because the fixation has consumed the part of him that could choose differently. Melville shows you with terrible clarity that the tragedy of obsession is not just that it might fail. It is that even the people around the obsessed person, the innocent crew, get pulled down into the vortex. One person's all-consuming fixation rarely destroys only that person. It takes down everyone in the boat. Psychology gives us a clear frame for Ahab's condition. There is a well-understood pattern in which a person becomes fixated on a single goal or grievance to the point where it crowds out all other values, relationships, and sources of meaning, and where the pursuit itself becomes more important than any outcome it could ever produce. Rumination, The endless mental circling around a wound or an enemy is strongly linked to depression and to destructive behavior. The mind that cannot let go of its grievance does not heal. It deepens the groove again and again until the obsession becomes the whole landscape. Ahab is the literary embodiment of this. His refusal to let go of his wound does not avenge it, it amplifies it until the wound has eaten the whole man. Now bring this into 2026, because the seeds of Ahab are in all of us, and our age waters them constantly. We live in a time that can easily turn an ordinary person into a smaller Ahab. The grudge you cannot release, the single goal you have made the entire measure of your worth, so that no achievement satisfies and no rest is allowed. The enemy, personal or political, who has come to occupy so much of your mind that hating them has become a kind of identity. The endless loop of grievance that the systems around us are happy to feed because outrage and fixation keep us engaged. We are surrounded by invitations to find our white whale and chase it forever. And Melville's warning, written more than a century and a half ago, is that the chase will not heal the wound. It will consume the one doing the chasing. There is an idea in Uzbek culture that the one who seeks revenge should dig 2 graves, a reminder that the pursuit of revenge destroys the avenger as surely as the target. Ahab dug exactly those 2 graves, and many more besides, and fell into one of them himself. The wisdom is ancient, and it is everywhere, across cultures, because the truth it names is universal. To organize your life around destroying something, even something that genuinely hurt you, is to let that thing keep hurting you forever. The only way to stop the wound from ruling your life is, eventually, to set it down. Ahab could not, and it killed him. But here is the quiet counterweight Melville places in the book, and it is easy to overlook beside Ahab's roaring obsession. The story is narrated by Ishmael, an ordinary sailor who survives. And Ishmael survives precisely because he is the opposite of Ahab. He is curious, open, capable of wonder, able to hold many meanings rather than collapsing everything into one. He looks at the same sea, the same whales, the vast and indifferent universe that drives Ahab mad, and he responds with awe and acceptance rather than rage and fixation. Melville is offering you a choice between 2 ways of facing the wounds and mysteries of life. You can be Ahab, who fixates on a single enemy and is consumed, or you can be Ishmael, who stays open to the whole of life and survives to tell the tale. The difference between them is the difference between a mind ruled by obsession and a mind free enough to keep living. I want to add a careful word because the wounds that lead to obsession are often real and serious, and the answer is not simply to tell yourself to let it go, as if that were easy. Genuine grievances, real injustices, deep hurts deserve to be acknowledged, not dismissed. The danger Melville is pointing out is not having strong feelings about a real wound. It is allowing that wound to become the single organizing center of your entire life, so that it consumes everything else you are. If you find that a grievance or a goal or a hatred has taken over your mind in that way, please know that this is heavy, and that letting go is genuinely difficult, often more than willpower alone can manage. It is exactly the kind of weight worth sharing with someone you trust, so that you are not, like Ahab, alone in the vortex with no one able to call you back. Read Moby-Dick again, not as a long book about hunting a whale, but as one of the most powerful books ever written about how obsession consumes a human being from the inside. It gives you language for the slavery disguised as purpose, for the way a fixation takes down everyone in the boat, for the ancient truth that the one who lives for revenge digs his own grave. And it leaves you with a choice that matters in every grudge-feeding, outrage-amplifying corner of our age. There will be white whales in your life, wounds and enemies and goals that tempt you to pour your whole self into them. Melville's question is whether you will be Ahab, owned by the thing you hate until it pulls you under, or Ishmael, free enough to feel the wound, refuse to be ruled by it, and sail on into the rest of your life. There is a further layer to Ahab's obsession that is worth examining, because it reveals why fixation is so seductive in the first place. Ahab's hunt gives his life a terrible clarity. Everything becomes simple. There is one enemy, one purpose, one meaning, and every day is organized around it. And this simplicity, Melville quietly shows us, is part of the appeal. A life consumed by a single obsession is, in a strange way, easier than a life that must hold complexity, uncertainty, and many competing values at once. The grievance gives Ahab something the ordinary, ambiguous business of living cannot. It tells him exactly who he is and exactly what to do. This is the hidden seduction of every all-consuming fixation, whether it is a grudge, a goal, or a hatred. It rescues us from the hard work of living a balanced, uncertain, multifaceted life by collapsing everything into one burning point. This is why obsession is so dangerous in our own time and so tempting. We live in an age that offers endless invitations to simplify our lives down to a single enemy or a single all-consuming pursuit, because that simplicity feels like meaning and like relief from complexity. But Melville's warning is that this relief is a trap. The clarity of obsession is the clarity of a narrowing tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel is destruction. Ishmael survives not because his life is simpler than Ahab's, but because it is richer, because he can hold wonder and grief and curiosity and many meanings all at once, because he has not collapsed the whole vast ocean of existence into a single thing to destroy. The lesson is not that you should have no strong purpose. It is that no single grievance or goal, however powerful, should be allowed to swallow the entire complexity of your one and only life. The fullest lives are not the most single-minded. They are the ones spacious enough to hold more than one thing at a time. Tell me in the comments, what is a white whale you have had to learn to let go of, or one you are still chasing, and what is it costing you? If you want more deep dives that turn the stories you think you know inside out, subscribe and check the description for further reading. One honest note before you go. This video uses AI-generated audio and visuals, and it offers reflection, not professional advice. If a grievance or fixation has taken over more of your life than you would like, please treat that as worth sharing with someone you trust, rather than carrying alone. This was just one reader's thoughts, offered to make you think.